scar tissue, and then the scar tissue combined with more inflammation is what creates the bulging, what makes the gland become bigger and bigger and creates that bulging. So you can get that with hypothyroid as well. And that production of that scar tissue displaces the space that the soft glandular tissue used to occupy to make adequate thyroid hormone. So that's how the really common, especially Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid, causes the damage to the thyroid. So most common symptoms, again, a lot of people don't know that it can cause slow heartbeat, which is why if you take too much Synthroid or other, that is really the only medications. Levothyroxine is Synthroid, the same thing. Synthroid is the brand name, levothyroxine is the generic name. If you take too much, it can cause rapid heartbeat. And yeah, I have to add high cholesterol should also be on here, so it can interfere with your body's ability to regulate cholesterol. So if you're doing other things that should be controlling it, but your thyroid is still underperforming, it can be more difficult to get high cholesterol under control. So my doctor said my thyroid is fine because they only tested TSH. So I talked about that, but they might also do T4. So T4, thyroxine, is the major hormone produced by the thyroid. It produces a few others, but most of it is T4. That is the main circulating hormone, and you can test that, and it can also be fine. Or if it's low, if either or both of these tests are low, in a very all of these tests, we're going to come back to this too, but there's a broad range that medical doctors use, and there's a narrower functional range that functional medicine practitioners use, and that means the normal range of what your blood looks like when you're in your teens and 20s and everything's working perfectly. That's what normal function looks like. So the purpose of functional medicine is to restore normal function, to identify places where normal function isn't happening right now and see if we can get back into that. So yeah, here's the difference between those ranges. So the medical range for TSH is up to 4.5, and if it's in that range, they'll say you're fine. But really, if it's 3.5 or above 3.5, then that may be a sign of hypothyroidism. And so even if you only get that test, you can still be told that it's fine if it's 4.0, say. But if I looked at your blood work and your TSH was 4.0, then I'd want to make sure that we order the rest of these tests to see what your thyroid is actually producing, because it's probably going to be low, because your pituitary is telling it to make more. And free T3, for example. Most doctors never even order free T3, but so the thyroid, the T4 is the main hormone. Your body also makes smaller amounts of, and the numbers are different because the units are different. So it looks like it makes a lot more T3, but that's not true because there's different units. So your body has to make a little bit of both of those, but it also mostly makes the T3 by converting T4 into T3. And then that is carried throughout your body by a carrier protein, and then for it to actually carry out the functions of the thyroid, a small amount of that T3 has to be unbound into free T3. So free T3 is the main functional hormone of the thyroid gland. And lots of people never even get tested for that. So they can give you Synthroid all day long, and you can still have the symptoms of low thyroid because your body's not adequately converting T4 into T3, or perhaps not unbinding it sufficiently enough to maintain a level of free T3 to carry out the main functions of the thyroid, even though you're taking adequate amounts of thyroid hormone. Or even if your gland is producing enough naturally, if your T4 is fine, your TSH is fine, your free T3 is still low, then you're functionally low thyroid. A lot of people that get low thyroid get it from Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is just a fancy term for an autoimmune condition where your body is overproducing antibodies that then attack the healthy tissue of the thyroid gland. Well, that's a simplistic explanation of an autoimmune condition, but really what's happening is foreign debris gets into your bloodstream, usually through the gut, through leaky gut. And so if things that shouldn't be in your bloodstream, especially protein or protein fragments or little bits of viruses and bacteria that can actually leak into your blood system if you have an inflamed gut, those are foreign materials that your immune system rightly sees as foreign, and it's a legitimate target for their big guts to try and attack that and get rid of it. Well, if that shows up in the thyroid, then your thyroid tissue gets caught in the crossfire. So that is really how Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid happens. So a lot of times to help somebody with an autoimmune condition, I have to work on their gut, get their gut microbiome sorted, so they're not continuing to have that debris in their system. And then after a while, the immune system will see that that's going down and it'll stop overproducing those antibodies. So you can test those antibodies as well. The way you get a diagnosis of Hashimoto's is by testing thyroid peroxidase, TPO, and thyroglobulin. And if those are elevated, that means your body is overproducing those antibodies, and that's what's causing the low thyroid. But I've had women with, you know, TPO is upper limit, medical limit is 34, healthy range is 25. I've had, you know, many women with TPO in the hundreds, you know, 300, 500, one was 1,500, and we eventually got it down to not to 30, not to 25, but low enough that she's not having any more symptoms anymore. I think that's coming up here. So yeah, and the reverse T3 is binds to the same sites as free T3. So sometimes if you have adequate free T3, but you still have the symptoms of low thyroid, then that can be because you're overproducing reverse T3, which is kind of a safety mechanism, but that can go a little bit out of kilter, and all of the binding sites that free T3 normally binds to are filled up with reverse T3. The opposite, it's a mirror image of free T3. So if all the binding sites are filled up with reverse T3, then you're still not going to be able to get the free T3 where you want it, and it'll still be functionally low thyroid. So these are all, most of these tests most doctors don't do. If you get, I've even had patients that get a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, and I say, well, what are your antibody levels? Oh no, they didn't do that. They just say that. They just, you know, they make it up basically. They suspect it and don't test for it to confirm it. So here's an example of what can happen. I had a 49-year-old female that felt terrible, but her tests look pretty good. TSH is normal, T4 is normal, T3 is normal, but she's tired all the time, cold hands and feet. She's gained 20 pounds in 2 years. Her hair is thinning, and her free T3 is really low, red low. And so, you know, in red in caps on my blood panel, I always have the tests listed, and then the numbers will be in yellow if they're outside the functional range, and red if they're outside the medical range, or even blue if they're way outside the medical range. So red low means really low, even outside the medical range. 6 months later, all I did was put her on some supplements. She was already eating a pretty good diet. Might have gotten her exercising a little bit more. We'll see on the next slide. But yeah, 6 months later, energy was 70% better. She lost 10 pounds. Her hair was doing a little better. And her free T3 is now in it's still low, but it's inside, it's close to it's inside the medical range. Still a little bit outside the functional range. So it's probably somewhere in the, you know, the low fours, something like that. So T4 is the circulating form, T3, we just talked about this. The active form is T3 free, and these are the antibodies. So here's another case, a 65-year-old female that has diagnosed Hashimoto's. Her TPO was very high. That would have been one of the ones that was in the hundreds. Chronically fatigued for 30 years. She gained 30 pounds in the last couple of years. Poor concentration, hair loss, and indigestion, which, you know, correlates really strongly with the suspicion that she's getting foreign debris in her system from a leaky gut, from an inflamed gut, and that's why the immune system is overreacting. So 9 months later, we retested her. Her TPO was still high, but not as high as it was, and T4 low, T3 low. They're still in the healthy, outside of the healthy range, but within the medical range. But she's feeling better. So with hormone conditions, it's important to do the test and to need to know what's missing and what we need to do to help. But the symptoms are more important. So when I'm adjusting things, I always factor in what the tests say. But if the symptoms are so, especially with thyroid, but also with estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, if the numbers still look a little off, but you're feeling great, then let's keep doing what we're doing. Whereas if sometimes the numbers look perfect and you don't feel great, and we have to do something that may not be indicated by the numbers, but rather just treat the symptoms. So that's kind of an exception. Most of the time I'm more interested in what the tests say and how you feel, because how you feel could change. But with these, the test is an average for most people that are feeling great. And you're specific, everyone's different, so it's a little bit different, might be a little bit different for you. So yeah, 9 months later, she's doing much better, lost a bunch of weight, no more hair loss, digestion is better, and concentration's better. 2 years later, the same woman, 2 years later, now her TPO is down from multiple hundreds to, I think it was about 65, if memory serves. And yeah, her weight's good, concentration's back, her hair's good, digestion's great. There's another case study on my, because you're going pretty fast here. If I don't think it's covered in here. I did a whole website about low thyroid, and it's called thyroid. I'll figure it out. I'll find it. So this is a 58-year-old female. She felt okay. She didn't actually feel that bad, but look at her tests. Her TSH is really high. Free T3 is really low. And she wanted a general assessment. That's how we found this. And so I said, well, your thyroid is low. And gave her, I always recommend 3 things for everyone. A good multivitamin, mainly for the minerals, not for the vitamins, but for the minerals. All multivitamins are multivitamin and mineral supplements. And if you've ever heard that most multivitamins are useless, that's because they are. And the reason they are is because most of them are one-a-day multivitamins. One-a-day multivitamins are nearly useless because the minerals in them are not in forms that your body can readily break down and absorb. So the minerals that you need that are like the ones that are in vegetables, like the minerals in spinach and kale and broccoli, those vegetables are full of minerals. Those are bulky, they take up space. So the manufacturers that have come up with ways to make more bioavailable forms that are like the plant-based forms, that's what they're going for, but they still take up space. They won't fit into a good dose of them, will not fit up into a single tablet. So a good multi is usually 4 capsules a day because those minerals are bulky. Another way to think of it, calcium, the most common calcium supplement is calcium carbonate, which is ground up rocks and seashells. So it's very difficult to assimilate. It actually increases your risk of plaques forming in your arteries because it stays in a solid form in your body too. It doesn't dissolve very well. And so imagine you can also mine minerals. Have you ever heard about pregnant women that sometimes feel like they'll eat dirt? That's because there's minerals in dirt. They're deficient in minerals. It's really common. And they know that there's something in there, and that's why they crave it. And it works, to a certain, it's not the best thing. There's a lot of other stuff in dirt that you might not want, but depending on where the dirt is. So imagine if you just mine that dirt, you can, this is actually what the cheap manufacturers do. They just mine those minerals directly from the surface of the earth somewhere and grind them up, and a small amount it takes up very little space. It's just the pure mineral. But if you stick a kale plant or a broccoli plant or a spinach plant in that same dirt, those minerals are pulled up out of the ground and bound up in the leaves and the vegetable part, the edible part of that plant. And that's how our bodies evolved to sense that's a good place to get those minerals. That's what our digestive systems are designed to be familiar with, to break down vegetables and get the minerals from those. Well, those are complex molecules that take up a huge amount of space to give you a good dose of minerals. And so that's why to get a good amount from a supplement as well. So it's always better to still do that. It's best to get to eat spinach and kale and broccoli and other dark green leafy vegetables, because those are all full of almost every mineral. Blue-green algae and grass juices are also good sources. Wheatgrass, oatgrass, chlorella, if you ever heard of spirulina and chlorella, these are blue-green algae. The best one of all is chlorella, because the cell walls of chlorella is also really good for flushing out heavy metals. So when I test people for heavy metals with either a hair test or a urine test, if you have high uranium or lead or arsenic or cadmium or mercury, chlorella helps your body flush out all of those things. And then depending on which things is highest on a test like that, I may also recommend some other things. So like iodine, for example, competes with uranium. You've ever heard about people, when Fukushima happened, there was a rush in the stores on iodine supplements because iodine competes for binding sites on your cells with uranium. So if you saturate your system with iodine, then uranium won't bind even if you're exposed to it. Well, uranium is also how you flush out uranium that shows up that's still stored in your fat cells from years and years ago. So if you come up with high uranium, I'll also recommend some extra, maybe a higher dose of iodine. And then each of the minerals, there are things like that. So zinc competes with lead. There's some other ones like that. So yeah, when I find somebody that has low thyroid, there's a couple of thyroid supplements that I often use. I'll talk about those because we'll have time. And they work really, really well. I've tried probably a dozen others from really good companies. And now I used to stock 4 different ones, and I whittled it down to 2 because virtually every time one of these will work the best for some person. And even but they work differently. You'll see they're different ingredients. And sometimes after a year or 2, I might switch them from one to the other because circumstances change. You might need this different support. So anyway, this woman, what I did to get these results 4 months later is gave them one of those 2 thyroid supplements, but also a good multi for the minerals that you need. You need a whole bunch of minerals, not just a few. So selenium is really important for the thyroid. Iodine is the most important for the thyroid, but not just those 2. You need zinc and chromium and manganese and calcium and potassium and all the rest. So multivitamin, fish oil. Fish oil helps reduce inflammation everywhere in your body. It's important, really important for your brain, but also your cardiovascular system. So to help your body fight off the inflammatory process that's maybe also being produced by that leaky gut, fish oil can help with that. And vitamin D is important for every part of your body. So any of these people, if you're wondering what I did to get these results, and we'll have given all of them the good multi, 5,000 units of vitamin D, a gram and a half of fish oil, usually two or 3, sometimes 4 fish oils a day. And then, sometimes some other things as well. If their protein is deficient, which happens a lot, I'll recommend something to help their body absorb protein better, or make sure they're eating enough as well. And a lot of these tend to be, women not, so you can get it in your 30s, low thyroid, usually not younger than that. But I see, I've seen hundreds, probably thousands of women in their 50s and 60s with low thyroid. And those people often also need B vitamins, folate and B12. There's some B vitamins in the multi, you need B vitamins too, which are in the multi. Specific forms of those as well, and adequate doses. The one-a-day multivitamins have really, really low doses. The RDA for vitamins is just useless information. Don't even read it, because all that means, you know what that means? You know where the RDAs came from? The recommended daily allowances. Have you ever heard of scurvy? So scurvy is the disease. Scurvy is the disease you get if you get clinically low levels of vitamin C. Your teeth start to fall out. Your body can't make collagen and bind collagen anymore, and so that's
critical levels.
Severe deficiency diseases of all the vitamins. The amount that you need to prevent that severe deficiency disease is what the RDA is. The RDA for vitamin C is 60. That will prevent scurvy in most people. The RDA for all of the B vitamins, the berry, the RDA for vitamin D is 400 units a day, which is enough to barely prevent rickets. The adult dose of vitamin D is 5,000 units a day, because that's what is required to keep your immune system strong. So the RDAs are just ridiculously low on all of those things. They're not even worth looking at. You just need to know the actual numbers and what's recommended from experience and research. There's plenty of research that shows that most people need to take 5,000 units of vitamin D a day if they want to maintain a healthy level in their bloodstream to keep their immune system strong. So that is it. Look at that. That went really fast. I couldn't remember. I haven't done this specific talk in a while, and I couldn't remember how long it lasted. I might have had to do this. I probably did it for BNI, which, it has to be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I've got plenty more information. So these are the 2 most common supplements I use. So let's give you an idea of what helps your body fight off Thyrosin by Thorne. It's a great product. And let's see what's in it. Right, so a lot of vitamins. Doesn't like it when I blow it up. There we go. So a little bit of vitamin C, vitamin E, B12, iodine. So 225 micrograms of iodine is 150 of the daily value. But women Japanese women have the lowest low thyroid, the lowest breast cancer in the world. And the breast and the thyroid are the main 2 organs that need a lot of iodine. So breast tissue needs more actually because it's bigger than the thyroid. But the thyroid you'll feel it throughout your whole body if you're low in iodine, because your thyroid's not getting enough. You might not notice it in the breast. And they take, through their diet from eating seaweed, about 12 milligrams. So that's 12,000 micrograms, right? It's like 20,000 times the RDA, and it's totally fine. You know, that's a little bit too much for some people, but a lot of people need that. So I have a little tiny tablet. That's still milligrams, and 12 milligrams of iodine is still a little tiny tablet. And I've had lots of women take that for several months or a year, and then it fixes the thyroid. So most people don't need that much forever. Your body does store it up eventually, and eventually just the amount that's in a normal multi, or sometimes the amount that's in your food. I always recommend you get any nutrients you can from food. So if you like seaweed, you can go to Trader Joe's. They have those little stamp, like little things that are a little salty. So if you got to make sure that you don't have a salt issue, but I like them. I think they're delicious, and you can also put them in soup. It's really good, like in chicken soup. So that's a great place to get iodine. In California, if you live near the coast and you know, eat fish, you know, we're just more likely to be you're less likely to be deficient in iodine than if you live in the Midwest or someplace far away from the ocean. Selenium is also really important for the thyroid. 100 micrograms is a pretty good dose. Tyrosine, very important, and ashwagandha. So most thyroid supplements have all those vitamins. I always have selenium and iodine, and sometimes some of these other vitamins, zinc. But then the rest is going to be different. So this one, the sort of main ingredients with the cofactors are tyrosine and ashwagandha. So that's the thorn product. And those also, the ashwagandha and the tyrosine. Tyrosine helps you make more thyroid, but the combination of those with those cofactors also helps you convert T4 into T3 and free T3 better, which is the huge missing piece that most people never even get told about. So that's why it works. And Metagenics, the other one I use a lot, is called Thyrosol. So you can see it has most of the same vitamins. It's also got riboflavin and vitamin A and some vitamin D. And niacin. The other one didn't have niacin either, but then iodine, zinc, selenium. Not as much selenium. A little bit more. Is that more iodine? How much iodine did thorn have? Or tyrosine? Iodine, 225. So yeah, not as much. Not as much iodine. But myo-inositol and rhodiola. So rhodiola is a rare. Myo-inositol is kind of like a B vitamin, but pretty good dose, 200 milligrams. And those things also help you. They both do the same. They both have the same outcome. They help you convert T4 into T3 better. And if you're having difficulty making adequate amounts of T4, this one will also help with that. If someone's T4 is low, I'm more likely to give them tyrosine because it has more iodine. I'm also more likely to give them iodine in addition to this, a higher dose of iodine for a while, for a few months until they're on track again. Any questions about that?
Well, that I'm taking, that pig stuff for the thyroid, then you think eventually if I'm on this stuff that I would be able to get off of that?
That's the plan. So, but when we've tested before, your numbers either improve. I don't remember the specifics, but I think that you were doing good on what you were taking. So we wouldn't want to lower it if that's working. But as long as if we can get you to where you can, probably when I muscle tested you, and to see if you could start backing off of the pig thyroid. So do you know about pig thyroid?
That's what I was on, yeah.
Yeah, so pig, you were on it?
Well, yeah, I was on pig thyroid, and then they transferred me to the synthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get the pig thyroid. Well, it goes in phases. Sometimes it's really hard, sometimes it's not.
I think the availability was better at first, yeah, and then
the availability varies by what physicians are willing to prescribe and whether or not it's available.
Yeah,
sometimes
a lot
there's a
of the
run on it.
doctors wouldn't prescribe the pig thyroid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really sad because before thyroxine was invented in the 60s and before the TSH test came out, the standard was if your T4 was low, they'd give you pig thyroid, and they give you these really, it was called grains. I don't know what, I haven't seen it, but it was not precise doses. It was imprecise doses, and they give it to you and then ask you how you felt. Are you losing weight? Are you feel your hands and cold hands and feet going away? All that, and if it was working, you started to get a rapid heart rate, or started to go in the opposite direction too much, then they'd lower the dose, and then they'd just find it have a medium that way. And most women worked better than giving you a precise dose. because it also has T3 in it. That's the biggest difference. So the pig
Yeah.
thyroid has T4 and T3,
It's the whole package.
just like your thyroid has T4 and T3 in it. So that's the main reason that looked better. But yeah, so now they just give you T4 and they don't even test for T3 or for T3. So that's the big missing piece, and that's so easy to fix. You know, it works. So if you've been on Synthroid for a long time, or even if you've been on pig thyroid for a long time, then it may be difficult to get your thyroid to make all the amount of thyroid that you need without that anymore. Because when you take an exogenous, when you supplement a hormone for a long time, your glands just eventually stop making it because
Well,
you
what's a
don't
long
need it anymore.
time?
Years. So usually if you've been taking Synthroid for less than 5 years, but I've even had some that were on it for like 7 or 8 years, still were able to get them off of it. But if it's like 10 years, usually.
Yes, I haven't been on it for 10 years.
How long have you been on it?
I would say the most 5.
And never Synthroid, only the pig thyroid?
Only, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I probably told you that we should be able to get you off of it then. Yeah. We have to go by the tests. When your free T3 starts to go up, and if it's still, if we can keep it in the, if it's not, going down too low, and we experiment with lowering the dose, then that's how you find out.
Because I know the regular doctors, the insurance won't pick that up. So I've been paying out of pocket, and it's $75
For how much? For how long?
for
Supply?
they
3 months supply?
for a month or so. I think.
Only a month?
But I take it only 3 times a week.
We did reduce the dose of it, right?
Yes.
Okay,
3
well, there you go.
So it lasts me a little bit longer.
Yeah, so we reduced the dose. Yeah, I mean, it might take a year or two to slowly reduce the dose to get it down to either nothing or as little as possible. Then it's not in weeks. It's months or a year or two with anything like that to get it down to the minimum that you'll ever require. So yeah, there's still a chance we could get you where you don't need it. Yeah. All right. I said I was going to talk about something else. Oh, the website, thyroid website. Yeah. Let's see. Thyroid Free Living, I think it's called. I have it bookmarked here. I think I might have it bookmarked on the office computer. Any other questions while I'm looking through that?
Oh. I'll stick with the tea. That sounds really good though.
Any gelato?
We have gelato in the office.
You bring
Awesome.
yeah.
Any other questions while I'm trying to find this
Well, I have a question
Other
on
website?
protein.
about protein?
Yeah, because I've been reading up on like how much we should have a day of protein. What I've been reading is that it says 1 gram per every pound you weigh. Is that true?
It's not a bad estimate.
So I'm supposed to be getting like
110.
110.
Yeah.
Well, I take that pea protein. I do that, but they say it's not a complete protein.
Right.
And so, but it seems like they didn't give me actually like a scoop or anything to go with it, so I don't exactly know how much.
I can muscle test you for that. And
Because
it's
I don't
also
think-
it's hard to figure out how much protein is in each scoop too.
Yeah.
Where did you get the is it you get it from nuts.com or?
No, nuts.com.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, nuts.com.
Yeah.
That's where you got it. So yeah, it'll tell you how much protein is in an ounce or a portion of an ounce or something. I have a scale. The only way to know for sure how much protein is in a teaspoon or a scoop of that is to weigh it. It's
So
not by
would it-
volume. They
It wouldn't be
give.
that hard to get 100 grams in a day of protein? I feel
Yes,
it's hard.
it'd be difficult to get it just from, you wouldn't wanna do it just from pea protein. You might be able to get, say, 25
So
or 30.
like, do you have a product that I could get that would be better, like a whole protein I could just take
No.
a,
No,
No.
chicken, fish, beans are a good way to get 100 grams of protein. You don't wanna get all your protein from a powder. You wanna get it from food.
Yeah,
Do you not eat
But
chicken or fish?
well, I eat
Beans?
salmon,
Yeah,
but I'm not, it's not every day.
so yeah, I mean, how much protein is in 8 ounces of salmon? 45 grams in one small piece of salmon right there. So
Yeah, but if we're supposed to get 100 grams, then
that's why you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day. Have some eggs in the morning and salmon for lunch and chicken for dinner.
I eat 2 meals. I don't eat-
Yeah, I do too. It's
I don't-
okay. Another way is, which I just
Like, is there protein in chickpeas?
yeah, and any kind of beans and legumes are good sources of protein. Just do this. How much protein is in a cup of chickpeas? Just do this for whatever you want to eat. Google how much protein is in that. 39 grams.
If you have a thyroid issue, you can eat a lot of spinach too. I used to eat a lot of spinach when I was vegan. And
Yeah.
it's got a lot of protein in it, surprisingly.
Chlorella also,
Yeah.
which is good for heavy. I talked about that for heavy metals. That chlorella is 60% protein.
So if we take that chlorella in a pill, is that the same, I could add those grams or?
You can count that. Yeah, if you're taking a gram of chlorella, then that's going to be 600 or so milligrams of protein. It's not very much, but
No, it's not.
yeah, it's very difficult. So I've tried to
Because I
do this.
don't-
So I've had cancer patients who can't eat fit food. They can't chew. They can't. Their
Mhm.
digestive system is shot. And I've tried to get them 100 grams specifically. I've tried to find 100 grams of protein in a shake. It's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to. It's like at least 3 shakes.
Mhm.
And not small ones. You think about 30 grams in a shake is a generous goal. Most of the medical foods that have, like I have some foods that are specifically designed for healing gut and protein bars, that are high. And most of those things, it's about 15 grams of protein per serving. So, yeah, you can get a shake 25, 30 grams that's drinkable, but that's going to be a big shake.
Mhm.
That's
Well, they
only
have
gonna-
like those, I don't like them, my husband drinks those Slim Fast ones that has 20 grams of protein. I don't,
Okay, yeah.
I don't like them, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, nobody should eat that stuff. If you read the ingredients on those, they all either
They have
if they're-
sugar.
they either have corn syrup, or if they're sugar free, then they have Ace K and
Mhm.
Aspartame, which are excitotoxins. They jangle your nerves. And
Right.
some of them even cause heart disease potentially. Yeah, they're all of the fake artificial sweeteners are bad for you.
Mhm.
Also know that stevia is not an artificial sweetener. Stevia is a plant. You can get it at Green Thumb, planted in your garden, which is why it's not synthetic. It's not synthetic. The marketing for aspartame or for sucralose, what's it called? The yellow one.
Splenda.
Splenda. The marketing for Splenda is really great. It says that it comes from bananas, or no, it doesn't. I mean, yeah. So does ash if you burn it, but it's not. It is basically a synthetic sugar that has all the problems that aspartame and saccharin
Mhm.
and all of those things have. And Ace K is another really one. So if you read the label, it'll say Ace K. What's this one, the really common protein drink that people buy at Costco?
Ensure.
Well, not Ensure, but
Slim Fast?
not Slim Fast. It's just a protein drink. It's not Slim Fast. It's not Ensure.
Core power.
Costco protein shake. Premier protein.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
popular. Yeah.
People send me this all the time. Oh yeah, I'm taking this to get it at Costco. It's great. No, it's not. It's not. Because Premier protein ingredients. Milk, protein, calcium, caseinate, sometimes whey protein along with water flavorings. Sucralose and asulfame potassium. That's Ace K.
Central.
So the long name is asulfame potassium. K is the symbol on the chemical chart of the elements for potassium is K, because P is taken up for phosphorus. So potassium is K. Like what's the other thing you see with K in it all the time? Anyway, potassium is K. So Ace K is just as bad as sucralose and saccharin and all those other things. So that's why anything sugar free, look for stevia. That's the most common natural no calorie sweetener. An up and coming one, which is not usually in products you can see in stores, but it is in all the designs for health products, and it's really good. Let's do a little sample of let's chop up one of the bars. And it has allulose, A-L-L-U-L-O-S-E. And that does come from fruit. It comes from jackfruit, monk fruit, and it's yummy. It tastes like sugar. Some people like stevia, some people don't. I drink it in my water all the time because it keeps my throat from drying out. And it has a little vanilla flavor. If you've ever had stevia and thought it was horrible, but you still wish you could find something sweet, then I have a specific liquid. I'll show it to you. Do you drink, Catherine, like tea or coffee that you want to put something sweet in?
Yeah, I don't have too much of a sweet tooth though, so.
Okay,
I usually, yeah.
Well, if that ever becomes an issue, these are the two that I like. So,
is honey safe? I like honey if I ever use it.
so honey's great. I mean,
But there's lots of fillers in a lot of brands, yeah.
It depends on what you get. If it's
Yeah.
just the stuff that the bees make, then it's not. There's no problems with it, other than the fact that it's still fructose.
Yeah.
So if you're overweight or pre-diabetic, then it's still not good. In small amounts, it's okay, and it's really good if you have a sore throat. But yeah, this is vanilla flavored liquid stevia. It's really good. It doesn't have the weird herby taste that some stevia does. Most powdered stevia tastes terrible, so you got to get a liquid. But even a lot of the liquids taste terrible too. This one tastes good, and I love this too because this is what I put in my tea. I don't put anything in my coffee, but if I make a coffee for somebody else and they want it sweetened, I don't have sugar in my house, and I'll put this in it. So it's good. This is good in tea and coffee. And
This is my normal.
hmm?
Here's that. If you did you want to?
Maybe, yeah, why not?
How many grams of protein in that?
Yeah, so this is 15 grams. Let's pull this up. There we go. All right, so this has 15 grams of protein. And the first ingredient is allulose. They're going for the flavor. It's got to be sweet. I mean, to me, this is ridiculously sweet. It tastes like a candy bar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they overdid it, but they're the ones that come up.
When you don't eat a lot of sugar, and then you have this.
Yeah, it's too sweet for me. But a lot of people, want something like that. So, it's mostly sweeteners in the beginning, but there's no calories in those, or very, very little starch in this. It's not completely. 1 gram of sugars, 15 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat. So it's got some good fats in it. And it's also got stevia in it. So, I mean, this is better. The point of this isn't, necessarily health food. It's just better than, it is a good way to get some protein, especially for a workout. And it's much better than, the bars that you get in supermarkets.
Yeah, it tastes really natural, surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so, I'm still looking for the thyroid. Justin at B&I, you've met, he's the one that made this website for me. And, he said, you gotta make a website that's just about one condition. So here we go, no fatigue-free living. There's that one. So this one just talks about fatigue and, one of the most commonly overlooked causes of fatigue is low thyroid, so they overlap. But got an email. Jeez. Well, if I can think of what it was actually called, I'll look it up, because I did a whole bit about it. There's another whole thyroid case, and it was a really good one. It might be here.
Want me to check the office computer?
No, I already
See if
did.
you think you-
I looked, yeah, I thought I had it, just like the fatigue free living one that I had the bookmark there, I thought I had that, but I think it should be here or somewhere. Yeah, well, I don't know where that went.
Oh, Google.
Yeah.
Down.
Supposedly, if you Google hypothyroidism, natural treatment for hypothyroidism, Ventura.
What if you put your name?
Good idea. Yeah, I paid him to over $1,000 to make this website. And never got a single picture. No, I never got a call. There's,
Fatigue.
oh, there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the same
That
one.
was the
Yeah.
same one.
That must be it.
Ah. Yeah, this was part of it, so, yeah, so the, part of his marketing strategy was, see, you gotta offer somebody a free gift, so to read the website at the bottom says, send a message here if you would like to get this information, the 12 most commonly overlooked causes of fatigue, and there was one for thyroid too. But yeah, that's how this came out. Subclinical hypothyroidism, undetected, not ever diagnosed, is one of the most common causes of fatigue. So is insufficient protein, so is not drinking enough water, not having enough folate B12, iron deficiency, prediabetes, gut infections, vitamin D deficiency, CoQ10. Energy in your body is made mostly by the mitochondria in every cell. It's kind of like a little furnace in every cell. And the mitochondria require CoQ10. And a lot of people eventually your body makes CoQ10, production peaks at around age 25. So that's why people, you can eat donuts in your 20s and you never get fat and you have plenty, you don't get the sugar crash because your body is just prepared to survive on anything you give it. But eventually that takes a toll. And part of the reason is because it stops making adequate amounts of CoQ10. So when you get into your 50s, 60s, 70s, you need more CoQ10 to keep your heart strong. But it's also the most important enzyme to rebuild and repair heart muscle. But yeah, so that can cause fatigue. Hydrochloric acid deficiency. If your stomach is not making enough hydrochloric acid, then it becomes very difficult to absorb the protein that you're eating. Also vitamin B12, iron, and calcium, and some other minerals. And it's your first line of defense against a bad bug getting into your gut. So if you have dysbiosis in your gut, too much bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria, that can also contribute to fatigue. Side effects of common medications, especially mood, medications for anxiety and depression, but also cholesterol medication can cause fatigue. And vascular inflammation is just eating too much sugar, junk food, creates inflammation in your blood vessels and your bloodstream that aggravates any inflammatory process in your body. So it'll aggravate your joints, arthritis, increase your risk of heart disease, and cause fatigue. Any other questions?
I have a friend that lately he's been having a lot of episodes where he has to go to the emergency room because his heart just keeps beating real fast and he can't get under control.
Mm-hmm.